And in our headline today, it's almost tax time. I'm sure you knew that. That's not a big headline. What you also know is there's tons of choices when it comes to best tax software out there. And every year we talk with our friends at the College Investor about which one is best. And this year we've got the chief man himself, Mr. Robert Farrington, joins us. How are you?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I love that every year, Hannah has put this together in the past. Our friend Eric Rosenberg, who is an amazing writer, wrote this year. Before we get to which is best, because I know best often is in the eyes of the beholder, let's talk about what you guys actually looked at, Robert. Break us down. What were the different categories you were looking at, the different types of filers you were looking at, and then we'll dive into how these different softwares play against each other.
Absolutely. So I think that's the one thing a lot of people don't understand is that, there's a ton of situations and all the tax software programs kind of cater to their niche. And so we actually start in October every year and go through and review all of these things. And there's actually like 20 of them. I would say only about five, seven of them actually are what you know of, but there's a ton of other smaller players in the space. And we run through a bunch of mock tax returns through these things that we just make up for people that might just have a W-2 in their job. Maybe you have some investment income, traded some stuff this last year. Maybe you have a rental property. So we try to do some common scenarios. And yes, I know that there's going to be someone out there that has a niche scenario that we probably didn't cover, and maybe the tax software won't work for you. But, we try to knock out some very common situations. And then we break them down and see what they cost. Because, what really started me to create this thing about 10 years ago was all the people complaining about the gotchas, right? Because they started and then all of a sudden they go to file and they're like, you owe us $100. And people are like, what? Why do I owe you all this money? So I want people to understand what they're getting, what they're paying for, depending on what they're filing for. And so we break it all down every year. And we have about 10 different categories now, for trying to cover the most situations we can.
And I think to make a big point here, what you're really saying here, Robert, is just because your buddy at work says that this software is best for them might not make it best for you. I think that's a big point.
That's the biggest thing, right? Just because your friends have this, or you don't know what kind of income, what kind of tax credits they have. If they have kids, it's going to make a big difference. If you don't have kids, if you have investments, if you traded stocks last year, if you got in on the meme craze, if you did crypto, I don't know. All of these things could significantly change what you have to file on your tax return, which could also change the price you pay to file your tax return.
Speaking of gotchas, any new gotchas from the government this year? Or things significantly changed when it comes to filing your taxes in 2023?
I mean, the biggest thing is the surprise people are getting with lower tax refunds and even owing. So, one thing that happened last year is all of the COVID era tax credits ended. So, we're talking about things like the doubling of the child tax credit, the huge increase in the dependent care credit, changes to the earned income tax credit. So, families with children specifically are seeing maybe $10,000 in tax credits disappear. And so
Wow.
where they may have gotten a huge tax refund last year, this year they're like, where'd all the money go? And so that's really the big gotcha. It's not even about the tax software. It's about once they plug in all the numbers, it's kind of shocking.
Let's also talk about something that some people sadly don't know, and that's that some people can file for free, right? Some of these programs have free filing, and I know the IRS has some free filing. Can we talk about those people for just a second before we go into this?
Yeah, so there are ways to file for free. The IRS has their free file program. So you go to irs.gov/free file. And all of these tax software companies, well, not all of them, many of them offer a free file, but they're limited. There's big asterisks there that says like income limits, what type of income you have. And so a lot of people don't qualify. Then you get to the regular tax software. So if you go to these companies' websites and you see they all also have a free tier, sometimes it's a little more generous, sometimes it's not. Really, this year, there's only one free file company, but even it has limits, and we can jump into that if you want to.
Well, there's probably some gotchas there, I would imagine as well.
Absolutely. So we'll just jump in. I mean, the
Yeah.
only tax software company that offers truly free file this year is Cash App Taxes. Cash App Taxes used to be Credit Karma Taxes a few years ago. They
Oh,
rebranded. They're Cash App Taxes, and they offer free federal and free state filing. But the gotchas are it's kind of limited. If you have to file taxes in multiple states, you can't use their software. If you have certain tax credits, tax deductions, you can't use their software. And it doesn't have any like fancy features. You can't import stuff. You're doing it all manually. It's great for a lot of people. I don't want to dismiss it. It's a really great piece of software. It's really elegant, easy to use, but it does have some limitations as well. But hey, it's free. I love free.
Well, but you and I know it's not our first day, Robert, for neither you nor I in this business, right?
Right.
Free comes with some problems. Because they got to make money. If it's free, how is that company making any money?
Well, I mean, they're taking your data. I mean, that's it. If remember, what's that saying, Joe? If it's free, you're the customer, or you're the product.
You're the product, yeah.
You're the product. And so honestly, but they're trying to upsell you into a lot of their other products. So Cash App has a banking product, an investment product. They're trying to encourage you to have your refund go into their banking product. You don't have to. You can still, tie up your own direct deposit, put that there. But, they want you to use their other products and services. And, tax software is the big hook to get you in the door.
Well, okay, let's go into this then. Everybody's waiting for this. Overall, the absolute number one, just for the average person out there, and a lot of you aren't average, so we're going to have more here. What's your number one choice at the College Investor for tax software this year?
And it's probably going to be controversial. They get a lot of flack.
That's what we like.
TurboTax is definitely the number one overall choice.
The and old school, like almost the OG. Yeah.
It's the OG. It is honestly the easiest to use tax software in the world. They make it so easy. It's so elegant. You will pay the premium for this ease of use. Like you will. There's no way around it. But they are leaps and bounds above everybody else. There's some close competitors now. Things are getting better. But if this is your first time filing, if you feel uncomfortable, they make it super easy. Very easy questions, a robust support network. And, the prices are there. It's a little more than you'd pay, but it's not outrageous. Plus, this year, they offer a ton of solutions to have it done for you. I don't know if you've seen all the ads on TV, but it's like, come to TurboTax and don't do your taxes. I don't know how I feel about that ad, but they're trying to upsell you into having their CPAs and enrolled agents do their taxes for you.
Fabulous. You said this year in your piece, though, there's a pretty strong runner-up at number 2.
H&R Block, they are the strong runner-up at number 2. They are a little less pricey. And I would say they're minimally less easier to use. And I say minimally just because they don't have all the integration. So TurboTax has really made it so you can connect to your banks and brokerages and get all your data and don't have to input it. H&R Block has a lot of that, not all of it. They have some limitations on investments, but they also have the robust support network, right? They got a ton of tax professionals that can help you. They got offices. They got in person. If you need to drop it off, you can actually drop off your stuff in person and then they'll do it. And then they'll email you your taxes, to you. So you don't have to go back to them. So, there's pros and cons there. It's kind of what you want, what you're looking for. And they're a very close runner up.
Well, this goes back to what we said at the beginning. It really, truly begins with you. And by the way, I feel like talking to Hannah in past years from your team that H&R Block software, their do-it-yourself software has really gotten strong over the last 3 or 4, 5. This isn't a new thing, them coming on strong. It feels like every year they seem to get a little better.
They are, and they're growing in market share, and their online product is really getting elegant. It's close to TurboTax. Like I said, it doesn't have all the integrations. It doesn't have all of it, but it has a lot of it, and you're going to pay just a tiny bit less. Not much. They're very neck and neck.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's competitive. That's probably a way for them to try to capture more market share, I would imagine, right? Hey, we charge a little less and...
Exactly. And I'll let everyone know, too, that it does vary. So these companies like to play games with their federal pricing and their state pricing. If you're one of those wonderful people that don't have state income tax, good for you. I love it. But for most of us in this country that you have a federal income tax return, a state income tax return, these companies will lower the price on their federal and charge a little more on the state. And so it's when you put the 2 and 2 together, you're like dollars apart. It's not very far.
I feel like it's from the movie Fargo, right? Remember that movie, Robert, where it's all in the Scotch Guard, right? You put the Scotch Guard on the car and you make a little more.
Exactly. You got to just shine it up.
I want to mention where some of these other players shine, because these are not the only three players, the ones that we talked about. If you're a student loan borrower, you have a different choice if you really have student loan debt.
Absolutely. So, one, for student loan borrowers, you might not get a lot of benefits this year because a lot of them did not pay any student loan interest last year. But typically, if you have student loan interest, it's one of those tax credits that like always bumps people up, and it gets them into like a deluxe tier every year. And so it's one of those shockers, right? Like you thought you qualified for free file, and then you end up having to pay like $30 for your federal, another $20 for your state. Now you're at $50. All you wanted to do was get your $2,500 student loan interest deduction, like, right? Like that kind of sucks. So we love TaxSlayer for borrowers that fall into this situation, because TaxSlayer has a very cool pricing model where at $39, if they offer it their classic tier, they give you everything. You get the whole kit and caboodle, all the tax forms, no gotchas, and there are no upsells. And so if you fall into this area where like you're getting booted up into like a deluxe at H&R Block or TurboTax, TaxSlayer is very compelling. And they're another one of those tax software companies that has significantly been improving their user interface, their usability. They're making a really great product over there. Again, they don't have all the integrations, missing some of that stuff, but like from an ease of use, fantastic.
I know in our Facebook group we call the basement, a lot of our stackers use TaxSlayer and talk very fondly about it. I want to go down to tax liability calculators for crypto and NFT traders. Both of those people that are left, I think a lot of people have been washed out of that market. However, if you have crypto, you've got a different choice.
Well, if you have crypto, you have to do two things. And I think a lot of people don't realize this. So if you were one of the people that got in on the hype last year, hopefully you got out before the bottom fell in. But if
I
you
was
have
finally
taxes,
getting in last year, Robert, when the bottom was happening. I was fine.
hey,
I still haven't made any money, but I haven't lost any money. So
hey, so you hold an asset. I like it.
that's right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
So taxes for crypto and NFTs are crazy because you don't get like a 1099B like you do if you're at Fidelity or Vanguard. Like you do trades, you make money or you lose money. Guess what? It's all on you to put this stuff together and create your own 8949, which is the tax form that reports gains and losses. And so over the last couple of years, a bunch of companies have come out with tools where you can link up your, crypto accounts, your ledger wallet, whatever you have, and it'll help you generate these tax forms. Because then you got to take that tax form and you got to actually go file your taxes at another company, because, you got to put the tax form together first. So we like Coinly and TaxBit and ZenLedger. These are all good companies. And where the real difference with these companies comes into is the number of transactions you have. So, remember, crypto transactions you sell, you trade crypto, you earn like interest, staking, airdrops. All these little tiny transactions can add up. So even if, like, Joe, you might already have like 100 transactions, even if you've just been buying and holding, just because of the nature of the asset. And so
Mm.
you need these tools to help you put together your 8949, which then you can take to a TurboTax, H&R Block, or a tax preparer.
I'm already almost out of hair. I don't know if I have much left to give with all that work that I'd have to do. If I am a landlord from somebody in the real estate market, we have a new real estate podcast, Stacking Deeds, that's launching soon.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So for real estate investors, it's all about how easy it is to put together that Schedule E and handle that depreciation, right? And then tracking it from year to year, because like you got to make sure last year's lines up with this year's and yada yada. So we really like TaxSlayer Classic again because you get all that for $39. It's one of the best prices out there. It tracks everything well, has helpful calculators, walks you through exactly what you need to do. And when you compare that to like the other ones, I mean, it's a substantial savings of $50, $60
Wow.
potentially to file your taxes, because the other ones start kicking you up to like investor premier, self-employed, that type of level, where again, you get all that with TaxSlayer Classic.
If I've got a side hustle or I'm an entrepreneur, I work for myself.
Well, let's start with side hustle, because Well, if you're just side hustling and you just have a 1099 and it's very simple and easy, we recommend Cash App Taxes. It's free. It's very easy to input that stuff. I would also go with TaxSlayer Classic as the runner up, low price, different things. But then if you get into entrepreneurship, like your business has grown, you start doing well, you need a little bit more, you might want to bump up TaxSlayer to the self-employed tier. It's only $20 more, but you'll get professional help from people that really understand self-employed business taxes, which can be very helpful if this is your first time putting together a really robust Schedule C, or you have a lot of income and expenses and you don't necessarily know where to go. And then, of course, you have TurboTax Self-Employed, the most expensive tax software you're going to find. But if you really don't know where to go with your self-employed business taxes and you have a lot of income, they offer a lot of help and support to do it. That's about the peak that you get with DIY software, because then honestly, if you are self-employed, there's a lot of nuances and it might make sense to jump to a tax professional
Yeah.
and not DIY it.
Yeah, great advice. You've got so many more categories here. We're going to link to them on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com. Also, if you're walking the dog on your way to work, whatever, we will have the link on our show notes as well. Of course, Kevin Bailey and the 201 newsletter will dive even more into what Robert's talking about here today in our free newsletter, the 201. I want to ask one more thing though. And that is, in past years, I've seen a lot of ads, Robert, for exactly what you're talking about. People that go, you know what, I get halfway through and I go, oh crap, I really need some help, right? I really need a person. Which one of these apps is the one that will throw you a lifeline the easiest to some professionals?
Well, I mean, it really is like what you want to get support with. If you just want to pick up the phone and you have a question, we like TaxHawk, which TaxHawk is actually Free Tax USA, but it's like their secret premium version. So I don't think a lot of people realize that TaxHawk is the Free Tax USA software, but they offer more support, audit help, things like that. And then we love TaxSlayer. Again, if you want to pick up the phone and call, they charge you to the premium tier. So you get all the forms at Classic, but for like $10 more, you get all the professional support help. And TaxSlayer Premier is great for that.
Can I get halfway through one of these and change tiers?
You can. They don't make you pay to the end. That's the thing. This is where the gotchas happen, but it's also where you can try all this stuff out.
Oh, good.
So
yeah.
No tax software makes you pay until you click file. And this is where they get you, because they all say start for free. Well, yeah, I can enter all my information. I can start for free. And then I find out that I'm at the premium level and I owe $100.
Right.
But you can try all these out if you want to spend the time entering your information, and you don't pay until you either use the service, call for help, and file your taxes.
It's so funny. It's like I'm getting on a plane and I've got my iPad and it says that this game is free that I can play for the next 2 hours on my plane, free with in-app purchases. And I always think, what does that really mean? Am I going to get an hour into my flight or 30? And sometimes, as you know, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Yeah. Other times it's completely useless. Robert, thank you for hanging out with us for a few minutes and sharing just some great tips for people this year. Eric Rosenberg did a fantastic job on this. And again, we'll link to the College Investor and Best Software for Taxes 2023 in our show notes. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's my part. Time for you guys to ask your questions. We got a couple over on YouTube here, Robert.
I love it. All right, let's do it.
If somebody wants to come up on stage, by the way, and ask your question here, just hit the microphone button and request to come on stage. And we'd love to take your questions as well. YT commented, a YouTube comment. Sorry, Tina, I'm a moron. YT comment. No, YouTube comment from Velicient. I used Cash App Taxes last year, agreed it was easy to use depending on the situation. Sounds like, Robert, if it's pretty straightforward, Cash App Taxes.
It is. They have no frills. Like they're not going to auto import all your brokerage stuff. So, it can get a little tedious if you're manually entering everything. But if you have a basic tax situation, a W-2, they have really easy to use interface and it's free. So it's great. We're fans of it.
Karen on YouTube asks, if you have crypto but haven't cashed out yet, based on what you said, and you said there may be some other it's actually don't know. Do you have to put that in your taxes?
Maybe. I'm not going to say yes or no there, but taxable events for crypto include transferring. So if you start with Bitcoin and you change to Ethereum, that's a taxable event. If you sold any to use it for a purchase, that's a taxable event. If you received any crypto from staking, that's a taxable event. Like you got some interest on it, basically,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
could be a
yeah.
taxable event. So just because you didn't sell it doesn't mean you might not have a taxable event. But if you just had bought, say, if you bought Bitcoin, nothing happened. You bought one Bitcoin, let's just say, and today you're still sitting on one Bitcoin. You never did anything the whole year. You might not have any taxes, but you should be mindful because you never know.
Was there anything that was really a surprise to you guys, to you or Eric, as you guys were doing all this incredible research, Robert?
You know, I, Not necessarily a surprise, but happy to see the improvements in TaxSlayer. So, they've been like this up and comer for about 4 or 5 years now, and like every year we're seeing the biggest jumps in their offering. Every single year, and at the price point and usability, like if they keep this up, like next year, if they add some more imports, like they might very well be the overall or close to the overall winner because of the significant improvement in their product.
We have a question on YouTube from Derek. Derek says, I use Free Tax USA. I qualify for the free file and don't have state taxes. Go Texas, he says. I'm
Love
800
it.
yards into Texas. I've got Arkansas, right? 800 yards that way. But, and they have state tax. But is there a better software I could be using, or am I fine? Free Tax USA, if you qualify for
Free
free file,
Tax
does it?
USA is phenomenal. Love Free Tax USA. The thing is, like, TaxHawk's the same exact thing. They just offer more support. Free Tax USA has a solid product, but like they just don't fit into any categories. We actually really love Free Tax USA. Basically easy to use, but it's like they don't offer a free state return, so they don't fit into the free
Uh,
overall tier, right? And so it's like they just miss out on a few features that like keeps them out of our list. But honestly, they're a phenomenal tax software. Really like them, very reasonably priced. Highly recommend.
It sounds like though, Robert, Free Tax USA knew marketing better and they knew what the college investor could do for them. They would totally fit into your category. Like, what the hell's up with these morons?
I know, I get it. But you know what? We still do a lot with Free Tax USA. It's so funny. People find them, people love them. If you know what you're doing too, like I will say that if you're a newbie, maybe never filed your taxes before, they don't have like the sexiest interface, right? Like TurboTax, H&R Block Online, they make it so easy. They make these really easy to answer questions. Free Tax USA does require, it's like the second year tax software. Save a little money once you know what you're doing. Go through it. There you go.
That's also what you don't like about those commercials, though, right? This idea of not doing your taxes. Like, I feel like it's better to know what you're doing, I think is what you're saying.
Well, I view taxes like your adult report card. So, like, it's a recap of how you did financially last year. And you're either very happy with your results or you're really annoyed with your results and maybe you want to do better. So, I do think it's very important for you to understand what goes into your tax return, what accounts, how you're doing, and then, see if you can improve it for next year, right?
And the thing that I found out, I took a CPA to lunch. What? No, it was breakfast. Sorry. But anyway, I took a CPA out one time and had them walk me through the 1040. And what I realized, Robert, was how easy this actually is to understand. It is far more easy to understand what the government is thinking, just reading through a 1040 and then some of the ancillary documents about
Mhm.
how this is put together. And by the way, and once you know how it's put together, it's a little like riding a bike. Like then you start to know where your opportunities are, not nearly as hard as we think that it is. I think it,
Absolutely.
it
Well,
it was so worth that hour that I spent.
Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of people don't realize that filing your taxes too is just data entry at this point in time. There's not a whole lot you can do to change your taxes. Like you can't like really get any benefits by the time you're doing it for last year. And you're just literally taking what's on your W-2 and inputting it and then taking what's on and you're just inputting it. As long as you don't mess up, have a fat finger, like it's very easy to do. Tax planning is separate from tax preparation. And so every tax accountant, CPA, they're not helping you with tax planning right now. They're just trying to knock out all the tax returns. But if you want help with tax planning or have a question, call your CPA in June. They're done with all the tax preparations. That's when you do the tax planning, and that's when you can change any behaviors, if you have a business, if you want to look at retirement accounts, things like that, like you can make those decisions for 2023. And then when you do your taxes next year, you can input them and maybe you'll save, maybe you'll have more benefit.
I love that. That's exactly where the benefit is of that I got anyway from reading through that 1040 going, oh, well, if I do this once again, a year ahead of time, instead of just putting the puzzle together. Jeff on YouTube says, is there an arbitrage opportunity? I love our stackers.
Yes.
Can I make money on my
Yeah.
taxes?
I love it.
Is there an arbitrage opportunity to file state and federal taxes with different software to get the free, cheap options for both? Jeff, you are evil. If you use your power for good, Jeff. Jeff says, not that I want to do my taxes twice, but I'm just curious. If I use different software, can I get it done for free versus paying or pay less?
No. So no one will let you file a state return without doing their federal return. And the reason is
One
that
star, 1 star.
99% of your state tax return is literally your federal return. Like they literally, like you literally, like there's like a few adjustments. Like I'm in California, and so it takes everything from the 1099, changes like 3 lines, and then there you go. So the answer is no. No one lets you do that. Sorry. You can free file with your state though. Like if you're bold enough, this is a bold one. If you want to go to the IRS free fillable forms, you could do it federally, and most states have the same software, but that's a bold move. I'm not going to lie.
That's some, yeah, I had 5 jokes that I can't use there. All right. I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Robert, thanks for taking our stacker questions as well. That is so awesome.
Love it. Thank you guys.
I know Robert well enough to know he's not lying. This really gets him all juiced up. By the way, I would be remiss. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask what else is at the College Investor right now. I know you guys, by the way, you have a YouTube page, right?
We do have our YouTube page, and we are doing our weekly lives typically on Wednesday. So you missed it yesterday. Next week, we are going to talk about becoming a millionaire on our weekly YouTube live. And we're going to have an amazing guest of Brad Klontz joining us. He is awesome. We also just launched our Money Conversations show. So if you like to listen, and you probably do, and if you get tired of Joe's voice, you come over and listen to the Money Conversations. And we are having great money conversations every week with our newest podcast from the College Investor team.
Yeah. So and that's wherever you get the Stacky Benjamin
show. Wherever you get your podcast. You guys do you.